Well, happy Tuesday to everyone on the globe. Um, oh, Leon, you're in Mumbai. Awesome. Welcome. I know this is your new one. You're first, I believe. And Travis, always great to see you. Okay, so I'll start with the reminder of the code of conduct. It's a small group, so I think we know what we need to what we need to do. We respectful and kind to each other, so I don't doubt that. Will be that. But if you need a reminder, check it out. Please review. Hi, Mark. Nice to have you. So, and as Catherine stated in the beginning, any new faces, please introduce yourself. Leon already did that. Mark's not new, right? Nope, you're good. Okay. Well, if they pop in, we'll just go back to that. How's that, Catherine? Is that
Oh,
good?
perfect. Yeah.
Okay. So just to reiterate, the importance of these initiatives, of course, giving the atmosphere and political situation it's been going on in the last over 20 days, it's more important, and like you guys already know, than ever to engage in the community, especially, this particular community. It's good to know that we have broad support, especially within CNCF community. So that's good and encouraging. Um, and Again, where it says where politicians and companies fail us, we need and can fill the void. So that is a great mantra that I'm going to, and I'm sure you guys will too, have in my head, my mindset throughout 2025 and as long as I can. But again, this is my first time, so being in this community, so I'm going to make the best of it. Anybody have anything they want to say about that?
Yeah. So I just wanted to say, because I feel like, I mean, I'm in Washington, D.C., so
Yeah, wow.
this feels very much home. And I know a lot of people work in the government, but it's like, it's kind of sad to see that it goes beyond the government. And I think what is really important is because I'm afraid that people are going to say, like, oh, this is not the right time. Like, all these things are happening. And we need to kind of like lay low. And it's like, I feel the opposite is true, right? We cannot just give up and just say, like, that's the world. I'm just going to retrieve and accept it and wait until things get better, right? So I think this makes it even more important to be active. And as you said, Colleen, like the beautiful thing is like we see that's not how the community operates. Like I really feel the majority is supportive. You are always going to have like some outliers, even in our industry. But I feel the
Mhm.
majority is really like they are empathetic, they want to help, and it's like we need to really kind of the community really needs to kind of fill that void that exists. And I'm hoping that companies have the are brave enough to do it. I'm really disappointed that a lot of companies aren't doing it. I love Costco now. I'm a bigger fan than ever. So, so it's like I
Yeah,
wish we would have more, companies that do that. So, um,
it definitely has an effect. I mean, if you see the news about Target and them regretting their decision to, go hard on DEI, and now they lost a lot of money, and now they're thinking, and their shareholders are pretty pissed. So we'll see what happens. So with that in mind, Catherine, is there something that CNCF could do with the leadership? I know we're a small community, and as you can see, we only have a few here. But for people to know that it's still important for CNCF to take a stand, or even the Linux Foundation to say that we're still pro, even having this community, but just keep that conversation. I think that would really boost people's confidence, especially this community and people like us, to know that our back, even though this is happening, but just having that say and just keeping that conversation and saying we're backing you, like Chris Sanichek or and Priyanka, just to say it, if there is any way,
yeah,
I think that would make a difference.
yeah, I feel so too. And it's like I feel like as a community, I mean, like as community members, we can do some stuff. And I think like we can do a lot, but we like
Mhm.
just having like an organization to step up and kind of say, and you don't have to get into political,
No,
I think like like no one wants to get into the political conversation because it can kind of like be dangerous, but like there is, like just saying that diversity is important and we stand by it would be very powerful if it's not us only saying it, right?
Mhm.
I completely agree.
Yeah, it's going to be a fine line. I mean, because some people view DEI and this particular community as political, but if they are willing to have this community and make a channel, then we have to stand by it. And I'd be happy to have.
It was never political until they politicized it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
So
like,
we can't go back.
yeah,
Yeah,
but uh, but
yeah.
I think like we can and should make the case that it's nothing to do with your traditional political way, like whether you're conservative or not, like it's like just because they're weaponizing it basically, right? But like we shouldn't kind of fall into that trap and kind of also politicize it because it's not like, and I feel like the biggest example is I don't know, Goldman Sachs, I don't know how many years ago, they kind of like very long, they said like if the board doesn't have women, I don't know if they extended it to other to beyond women, but I know at least for women, which also like showing like diversity to one degree, they're not funding these companies anymore. And so Goldman Sachs, I don't think, or I don't view them as a company that is very kind of trying to lead by example in terms of what's moral. They're just looking for money. So they saw that diversity, at least with the female part of it. And so hopefully, I don't know if they updated it, is important for money, to make money. And so it's not political.
Mm,
Uh,
that's
and
an interesting
yeah,
perspective. Yeah.
it's just like people are using that,
Hmm.
misusing that, right? Weaponizing it. But it shouldn't be political, I find. It should be common sense.
Yeah. Any other perspective? Travis, Mark, Leon, anyone?
Uh, I think I've just listening to you guys, I think that being able to just address how like this isn't like a political part of it. This is also like a really good way of spreading awareness, like in streams like this. Um, I tend to find if I do discuss like efforts to have more diversity in certain arenas, that people do have that unfortunate stigma of like, oh, this is going to turn into something that we're trying to avoid. But I think like this platform right here is exactly a good milestone to be able to share like, no, like we're sharing our opinions because we see the product of like when there isn't diversity, right? Like even in our stream that we did, like those are our stories that at first hand that we notice how that can be a barrier. So I think like being able to have more avenues like this, people sharing their experience is a great way of showing like this isn't just like a quick thing to like get something from people. It's more of like, no, we're trying to show you that there is true value in the for the diversity in different people's opinions. So I think that's just kind of like what I wanted to share about that. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Any, Travis, Leon, anyone?
It's a lot to process over the last several days.
Mm.
I mean, it's really important that, because I represent the ANDIA, diversity, inclusion, equality, and accessibility as well, because I'm also hard parent. So it's like, it's a double impact in our community. We was just talking about how the school is actually funded by mostly the government. And so we don't know what's going on with the fund, and
Mm.
But yes, I understand this only impact, this meeting is just about, diversity, DEI, but, it's so hard to really get past that conversation, to not politicize it, but it's so intertwined in our lives. So it's like,
It-
I can't really get around it.
well,
Sometimes I worry about,
yeah.
where everyone's going to be in the future. I think about like the opportunity. It's so hard for me. It's like, you can get a job, we can make it. But it's right now, it's a lot of challenge because it's a lot of turbulence in the tech industry right now. On top of that, with the DEI, it's really hard. So it's very important we get the words out. We have to fight back. Make this community more inclusive. I really appreciate the fact that CNCF and Linux Foundation they actually stepped in the way. They actually changed the word because I know I keep going back to this, but I talk about how I see the terminology is thrown out, and we talk about control plane with Kubernetes. And so I'm tired of seeing the word, and nobody understand why. But it's good that we're moving forward. We talk about progress, and I keep working on it. We should not be going back. And
No.
I would think about that message that we're not going back, and we're still not going back. And even though this administration it came back, but we're still not going back.
I
So
have a little thing of hope to say, because I
mm,
feel like in general, we've always there's always been progress, right?
yeah,
So if
yeah,
you see historically, like on the big picture, it's never
mm,
been better. Not like I'm talking 5 years ago, but like if you take like big picture, right? Like
mm,
whether for people with disabilities, people of color, and so on, right? Like the problem is that progress is always 2 steps forward and 1 backwards. And so right now we are in the backwards. And so as you're trapped in, like, as you are in the middle of that phase, it's just so disheartening. And you feel like we're going back, and we're going back a little bit, but we're not, like, that's part of the progress, right? Because there's always like, you're doing something and then some people feel it was too fast and then was like, oh, and then there's backlash, which we're experiencing now. Some people are not happy with it. And then we're going into the other extreme, and then people are like, hey, this is not okay, and then you go backwards, forward again. So something to keep the perspective. It's like historically we've never really gone totally backwards. It's just like always like 2 step forward, 1 back, 2 step forward, 1. So we will go forward again. That is for sure. We're not going that much backwards, but right now we are in the micro view, but in the macro view we're definitely not going backwards. So, and which is why I think like this is so important, right? We cannot just say like, oh, and then just wait. Let's just work, create the foundation. And so hopefully once we're like, there's a lot we can do because we have the community support, but once the whole country again is kind of doing like going forward again, maybe there's so much more we can do if we're prepared, if we have like a big community and there's so much to do. So I know it's very disheartening, but just think about it. It's always been like that historically. It's always like a little forward, and then some people are, yeah. So it's like it just doesn't feel like once you're in the middle of it, it's hard to see it.
Well, I mean, this is different. And I'm just trying to get from the emotion from what Travis was talking about. We can't afford to rely on what's historically been happening because it's getting kind of scary. So I would, and I will say it again, would love to have leadership in CNCF to take a stand. I would love, I can have the conversation myself. I know Chris and I know Priyanka, but it would help for those like us and all over as in this community to know that our backs, we're not going back. What you just said, Catherine, we want to hear it from leadership. I do anyway. And if anybody thinks otherwise, that's fine too. But sometimes just thinking it, I mean, we didn't think that we'd be here And I mean, a year ago, we just like, oh, people have common sense. This is not going to happen. And yet here we are. We're not taking, I understand we're taking a step back to go forward, but sometimes not relying on historic things because not relying on things historically and just doing and being proactive is also something good as to why things historically have prevailed, if that makes any sense to you. So I hope that we can do that and have leadership just recognize it and take a stand. And not be too safe. That we're beyond that right now.
I definitely agree, Colleen. One thing that popped in my head is, and this is just me not just being naive, like
Mhm.
how would that look like, I guess from the leadership standpoint, like I guess from the CNCF part of things, is it more of like a post or like doing another type of stream with leadership, or like what would you think would be like an avenue for that?
No, just maybe it's a post, a live stream, just the leadership coming together, whether it's Chris, Priyanka, or just like the whole leadership team, and just saying, or even if it's a letter to the community, to the CNCF community, saying this is where we stand and we're not going back. I think it would be helpful. And we've done that when at KubeCons, even on video, when we took a stand on, you know, on other things that within the tech community. These are our people, and people like Travis and myself, we're afraid. And we have the fear. We're not, we're not weak, but we still have that fear. But it'd be nice to not just think that, oh yeah, they have our back. But wouldn't it be nice to just hear that you have our back? This is, like the Ben and Jerry's and like the Costco's, just say, hey, we're not going back. This is how it is. And I think that would make a world of difference. Maybe do it at KubeCon EU. Do it before. Just to say, where do you stand? I know that some people are fearing that the big sponsors that might not have the same, like the Googles and the other people that backtrack, that's probably the thing, but I don't know. Being quiet is, I think, too safe.
It's also a it's also a message.
Yes, exactly.
Not
Saying
saying
nothing.
anything
Yeah.
is
Thank you,
also.
Cass. I appreciate that. Anything else? We can move on again and we can follow up next steps. Catherine, if you'd like to talk or something like that, but it's up to you. Do you want us to move on or what do we do?
Sure. Let's move on.
Okay. All right, so any possibility of having the BIPOC meeting for the APAC region? Ooh, that's a good idea. I'm not sure how to respond to that, but
I think we're too few people on this call. So I know someone
Yeah.
reached out and asked that. So I think what I would suggest is starting a thread in the BIPOC
Yeah, that's a good idea.
channel. Because we always have that problem. I always say, like, I wish the earth was actually flat. It's like, because it's always the problem with, yeah, how do you fit in a meeting so most people can participate. I guess since we don't have anyone from Australia yet, right? Like it might be like earlier we can have one meeting that is more more accessible to people in Asia as well.
Mhm.
So and yeah, so I think like let's just start a thread. I'm happy to start that and then tag the person who mentioned that and then like have people chime in. So either move
Good
this
idea.
meeting or if there are enough people, yeah, like or maybe create another one in 2 different time zones. I don't know. Probably
Yeah.
because we're small, like earlier would be better, but we'll see. We don't want to exclude anyone who is already saying like this is really good. But I feel like everyone. Oh yeah, well for you, Colleen, it's pretty. Yeah, that's a little tough, right? What time for you? Because it was like 9:30 for you, right?
Right now,
10:30? No.
it's just 10.
Yeah, 10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all good for me.
Maybe
I'm used to ridiculous time zones, so they're not even ridiculous to me. I've been doing this forever.
Well,
So,
let's
yeah.
ask and see what people say, but that's like not something that we can determine in a small group anyways.
If we can't have meetings like this, I mean, what about like just having just Slack threads on like a particular um topic like this, just to get people's perspectives that just couldn't be here. I mean, I've seen this before and in other Slack communities that I'm in, and it'd be helpful to get, I mean, if people want to put it in writing, how they feel about the subject and provide their ideas. Just something to think about, since, you know, and other ways to be productive and getting people's perspectives and not worrying about like time zones and stuff like that.
Yeah. Have you seen it done successfully? You said you have in some.
Yeah, for example, I don't know if it's the same, but I'm in the Slack community for the Event Professionals Network, because that's what I do. I do global events. And like I think 2 weeks ago we were talking about how does 2025 events look like as far as registration, you know, late registration, I'm sorry, because late registration percentages have gone up, and people, the event planners are worried about like, well, we're doing all these early birds and we're not getting any, but we're noticing that everybody like registers late and they know it's more money. So it was just long, like 46 to 60 thread of like people coming up with ideas and then sharing their experiences. But I was like intrigued just because nobody had the time to meet. So that's just like a, you know, a small thing, but they help, and you go back and you bookmark that. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. That's a great perspective. And you just live and learn.
Yeah. Yeah, I've tried to do that a few times, but like it's sometimes hard to get people to engage. So I do feel like having threats and then conversations is really good, because people also, like, you may not have the bandwidth to think about it exactly in that moment, but then you have some thoughts and then you can add to it. Like I even kind of created like a kind of best practices to kind of try to do like threats, like when you need people's feedback, kind of say,
Yeah.
like, okay, then have a conversation open if you want to have a conclusion for a week, right? And so anyone can
Oh yeah, that's how it was. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. It wasn't like real time. It was just like people, I mean,
yeah.
people would still give their, you know, during that week. And then the host or whoever brought up the topic thanked people for their perspectives. And some of them even put together like notes and stuff and report this is what, you know,
Yeah.
just in case you need it. So
One thing that I find a little challenging, but I think that's a challenge that is we should kind of try to tackle, is how do we create an environment where people can be very honest and kind of talk about things, like being vulnerable? Because I think that's important. Like now we're talking very sensitive things, right? Like some people might be afraid to share it. But I think like there as well, like leading by example is kind of the thing, like just putting, you know, like, and then making sure that no one can just comment and, you know, like if someone comes with a very inappropriate comment because someone said something, just open up, that must be shut, you know, like have like the people who are more active kind of like really say like that's not okay, whatever, like everyone is supposed to have to express their views and ask questions as well, like so I think creating that atmosphere would be really good. And then like having these async conversations can be good, because sometimes you have to think about that, or some people are introverts and they're not kind of like just saying it out loud on camera and whatever, it feels weird, and then you need a little time to process it. And it's like there are so many important conversations that we have to have in the whole DI community, right? Like especially now. And so I think maybe we could try
yeah,
uh
let's try it.
what-
Yeah.
and then see, and then have maybe what I do sometimes, I call it behind the scenes lobbying, where I'm like, and reaching out to people, please respond. We need people.
I mean, They're doing it. I mean, it's just like that, what the Twitter does, those little, what do they call those? I forget. I don't even know if they do them anymore, but where they just have those little meetings every once in a while and people just chime in. But this is not like the thread in writing, but it's just like, just having those topics, but you always run the risk of somebody being not appropriate.
And that's what you
Yeah.
cannot let someone kind of, because it's so important to have these meetings and make it a safe place. And and because it's open to anyone, you may always have someone who is kind of, inappropriate, but that's kind of important where like anyone, and not only say like, oh, William should do this, right? Like, no, like anyone should come and like in a kind way, not like, right, kind of say like, hey, this is not okay. This person was just asking a question.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about. We want to be open and vulnerable and, like kind of like explain them. It's like everyone's. So I think that can be done. But if since it is a new group, that's something that we have to learn as a group to do. But we could start with some of the conversations that we're having here with the BIPOC community. So I'm assuming, well, we can talk about it, but we're not going to find our volunteers that we're looking for because we don't have enough people on the talk. And so we could start these threats and have that continue the conversations async, right?
Well, I mean, if you're seeing, I mean, we're looking just by reading the threads in the channel, a lot of people who want to join cannot because of their schedules. So I think you have proof enough that we should probably be doing these things.
Yeah,
So,
it's like have a follow up each meeting maybe with threats for the different topics, so people can maybe, if they want to watch the video, they can watch the video, or they can just go in the thread and then just comment on the thread. But that gives everyone opportunity to kind of participate in the same conversations.
Yeah.
But I do think like the face-to-face is also valuable because it's like the
yeah.
so,
Yeah.
But yeah,
I prefer it, but not possible. And what I was referring to was Twitter Spaces. I have no idea why I couldn't remember that. But they're still doing it. I have no idea. I don't know if they do it in Blue Sky, and a lot of people in the tech industry have left Twitter anyway, so I'm not sure how that would work. Yeah. But do you want me to continue about KubeCon, or should we table that or whatever?
Oh, someone said something? No.
Oh, I think I was just saying, I don't know how we would like do the thread. I think you would just paste like the document that you're reading off now, or if you wanted to have a bit more like focused on what we did talk, I'm happy to like volunteer to scribe and like put that in the thread whenever that happens.
Oh, that's great. It's just like, hey, this was a topic of discussion, and we had some really great perspectives. We'd love to get your views. And
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and it should basically be one thread per topic, right?
Yes.
And what I try to do as well, because sometimes people do like really long things and then like keep that one really like, or just a topic in a very small sentence, and then put more in the information, because otherwise you're like,
yes.
And so you can identify quickly which conversations you want to. But yeah, I really like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Idea.
Cool. Well, I'm interested to see how people about the covering the APAC region. That should be interesting to see, because that would give us an idea of how many people are so interested and be willing to extend from the core that we have, which is great. I love seeing your faces and everything, but we need to extend this, see the faces that people who want to and have the opportunity to do so. So
Yeah.
KubeCon, BIPOC community gathering.
Yeah, so Colleen, you're going because you got the scholarship or like the funding or whatever. So it's
I got the scholarship. I haven't had the travel funding yet, but we'll see.
Mark, do you know if you're going? You said you.
So unfortunately, I'll be moving from Boston to Jersey that week. So,
Oh,
but I'll be there in
is that a good thing?
spirit. Say it again.
Is that a good thing?
That's a good thing. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But I wish I was there.
Congratulations.
But I will tune in via streams and I'll check the channel as well.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Travis, will you be attending? And we're talking about EU, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No?
unfortunately, yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Hopefully in Atlanta, though.
Yes, Atlanta.
Hopefully,
Mhm.
hopefully, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So that's something maybe we can start. We can start covering in the thread, right? Basically, we need because that's so. I had a meeting with Mike, who is from Google, and Google sponsored it. So like one of the things that I said, like kind of like was trying to push for is like let's have our community groups kind of lead those efforts, right? Because we have these groups. And so I think one flow that we discussed it for the deaf and hard of hearing, but it also makes sense for this group. Basically, so basically having two leads, right? And then start with a very quick welcome introduction what the BIPOC group is, right? And role of allies, how to join, and so on, like really short. Then open discussion, and then thank you again. And we can have like a slide with these Slack channel and like be a little bit more prepared because last time it was very last minute, of course, because it wasn't coordinated really. Like Mike did basically everything on his own until we have some ideas. And and make that basically our thing at KubeCon, which I think is pretty cool, right? Because they started that idea of a BIPOC community gathering before we had our group, right? And was like, okay, we have a CNCF BIPOC group. This should be our meeting, right? So we can take ownership of that and just really, have ideas and just run it. So we will need 2 volunteers. So I don't know, Colleen, if you would want to do that. I know.
Yeah, I do. I'm just really working on getting there. I'm so happy I got the scholarship though. That was
Cool.
awesome.
And maybe you do it, and then we can find someone else. I think William might. I don't think he said it, but William might also want to do it because I did post it there. I don't think he said anything though regarding that. But yeah, we did. Basically, we need 2 people to kind of own it and say we lead it and have the little slide with the call to action and so on. But I think like everyone else in this group who is able to attend should also help drive the conversation and represent the BIPOC group, right? Like, so I think that's important, but like, it's good to have 2 people own it. So we make sure the intros and so on. But yeah, I would do that. Let's just do follow up with a thread. And then, yeah, we have 2 KubeCon talks, right? Which is kind of cool. Which are both tag contributor strategy ones. So we have the, William will do a lightning talk about our initiative, which is part of the project lightning talks, not the regular lightning talks. So they're a little earlier in the day. And then there is a panel discussion with different people from different groups. So we have BIPOC represented, blind and visually impaired, women, and BIPOC. So it's going to be,
Catherine, do you have the links to those talks?
I'll look for them and I'll link them in the agenda.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And one thing that I tried to, so now we're gonna make that part of, even though they're in different tracks, we're gonna make them part of the community hub, not in the room, because in the room they wouldn't get recorded. I actually was like, oh, can we put them in the room? Because people know where to go for those topics, but they don't have any recordings. But they have like what they did last time, they were kind of promoting all the program, the DEI program. And so these talks will also be listed, even though they're just not necessarily related to the DEI, or they were kind of independently submitted. So I think that's good because people who come to the hub and see it, they're interested, and then we get more discoverability, I hope.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then
speaking of which though, or who's sponsoring this community gathering? Because I doubt
Google-
Google will be.
Well, Google, I did, so Google is just doing cut it for hiring. So as far as I know,
They're still sponsoring even though they cut DEI?
they didn't cut, like, that was the first thing that I did was reach out and say, like,
Ah.
so like, are you okay? But he said, like, it was cut for hiring, not necessarily. So I don't know. So far, like right now, the status is we'll move forward. So I hope.
That's still strange. I mean, no, I mean, I don't know. That's weird.
I haven't heard anything. So right now I'm just going onto the assumption and I'm hoping that will work.
I mean,
but-
based on the current news that they dropped every calendar celebration off their Google Calendar, I mean, it's just not speaking to what this community is about.
Yeah.
That's just my take on it. I know we need money and it's and that, but come on. This is where you're going to stand?
Yeah.
I mean, this is weird to me. It doesn't fit.
But
Yeah.
yeah, like regarding the hub, there is no other information. I think the hub is going to happen anyways right now, because that is the CNCF is kind of putting that, or the Linux Foundation is putting that together. So I think that won't change. Whether there is that logo or not, probably that might change.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I'd love to hear, hopefully that I mean, if they want to do this, just explain why, why they're doing other things that don't make any sense.
Well, that's please
yeah.
someone else, right? Like
Yeah,
there are
yeah,
different
yeah.
audiences. They're trying, like, you cannot please everyone, but maybe they're trying to. I don't know.
All right. Do you want to go back to the next live stream?
Yeah, I have a little attack on Travis because he didn't participate in the first one and he's here.
Hmm.
Would you be open? If the CNCF, if we can get an interpreter, I think we'd need an interpreter for discussion like that. And I think also what would be nice would, like, obviously you with an interpreter would also kind of highlight the deaf and hard of hearing side of things. So it would be like, it wouldn't be the topic, right? But like just having an interpreter and you signing would be like obvious that we're also, accessibility is important. So
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm
Yeah.
considering. I mean, it's this also. That's the other thing on my mind. So I wasn't sure if I should be a part of the talk because I don't want to take the focus away. So it's like, but yeah,
part of both groups. So you
yeah,
can,
that works.
yeah. So let me see if we can get an interpreter for you. Because I think probably with a discussion with several might be a little harder, or I'll let it out. Like, let me first get that information. I think that would be ideal because it would also kind of like, I would love to see an interpreter on screen to have that message as well. If not, I'll let you know and we see, but yeah, that would be cool. And then right now we have Fernando Harris, who I know wanted to participate in the first one and couldn't. So, and
Ooh,
Colleen,
nice.
you said you would moderate. If I'm pretty sure we're not gonna fill the 6, but I put it there as your placeholder for moderator in case we get like 6 people who want to do it, because we should prioritize.
Yeah, I'm always back up.
Yeah, but
I back up. Yeah, I'm
but
good.
I didn't feel people jumping on it, so I probably the first round was easier.
Yeah.
But
So Fernando is going to be the moderator?
no, like Fernando's just a participant for now. I have no idea. Now first let's see like who is interested.
Oh, wait,
We
volunteer.
only have Fernando as a volunteer, like a first-time volunteer, and you are a volunteer, but who already did it. So it's like if
I get it. I get it.
so if
we're
we get
trying to
5 other people who want
we're
to
trying
do
to
it,
get different people for the live stream. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it. Okay,
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna we'll run out of spots. I don't have the feeling because people didn't jump on it. So I feel like confident that you can moderate, but it's like if we have like 5 more people who want to do it, it's like I would give them, just like we didn't prioritize Fernando because we had asked Courtney first.
Okay.
So
What, or
But yeah, we
did
need,
we settle on a date yet, or I see these three,
yeah,
not yet? Okay,
no, I guess we need first to find the volunteers, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's getting close, so let's keep this thread going. Like, hey, guys, I know you're busy. We need you. It'd be nice, it'd be perfect to talk about a perfect way to promote, KubeCon EU and and the importance of having the community, BIPOC community. So it'd be a nice promo anyway.
Yeah, I think we need more people to have those discussions, but
Yeah, cool.
cool. So Mark, you'll do little threats.
Sorry, say it again.
You will do little threats to get people
Yeah,
people can participate async. That will be our first experiment to see how it goes. It's like, okay, we had a good discussion. We need your input. Here are the topics. Please chime in.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess that's the end of the agenda. And just to review, the next steps were Mark to start the thread, is what we just said.
Oh yeah,
And
we can action items at the top. So I'll put you in, Mark.
and I'm not sure what the next ones were, other than, oh yeah, I plan to write or contact Priyanka and Chris and other leaders just based on what I just said
Mhm.
in the meeting.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Cool. Okay.
Well, thanks, everybody. Catherine, is that it?
I
Okay?
think so.
Okay. Leon, you were quiet, but thank you.
Thanks, guys, for the discussion.
Bye.
You enjoy your day.